I serve on the Historic Commission, and so I'm very passionate about protecting our historical landmarks in the city. The Battlefield nor Ripperville, neither of those are in the city. We have to annex those first before we can do anything as a city. Right now, the Murray County can do with it as they please. It's not even in the city. Part of that proposal that was before the board was, the first part of that proposal was to annex it first. And I do think that we should probably think about doing that. That's something that we should do so that we can protect it. Since we now have a historic commission annexing the Ripperville house and that property, first would bring it into the Spring Hill, and then second, it needs to come to the Historic Commission so that we can recognize that as historically significant. Now, once that takes place, then we can legally begin to protect that piece of property, because I think that Ripperville is probably one of the signature homes of the entire county, and we're very fortunate to have it so close to Spring Hill. So I believe we should do whatever is necessary to protect that piece of property, because we can protect that piece of history as we move forward to future generations. But let's not be deceived. Development is going to happen. And I was fine with developing the frontage along 31 for commercial development in that plan, but I was not supportive of putting apartments right next to Ripperville. I just didn't see that as a good plan. But there will be plans in the future, and so hopefully we can get that piece of property listed as historically significant first, so that we can plan its development rather than having to just react to it.
Proposed?
Mine isn't actually as much a rebuttal as it is agreement. That I do think we need to make sure we annex Ripperville into the city. I also believe that done properly, one of the things that's coming up is the balance between planning and pushing things on the developers. That's a real balancing act. And we're private landowners. It will be a very big balancing act to say, look, the city really wants this, but a property owner is a property owner, and you have to respect that property owner's rights. And so there is definitely a fine line and a fine balance that you play. We do not want to be telling private owners what to do with their property. That's a very, very touchy subject. And I believe it's something that will need to be addressed very respectfully on both sides, the property owner and the city of Spring Hill. But I agree with all that's been said. I think we all agree that area is certainly a prize for Spring Hill. It does need to be protected. And I do think Michael's right in this, that it needs to be annexed into the city as soon as possible. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now for our last question. Cindy, will be the first to answer the last question. The question is, what kind of city do you think Spring Hill will look like in 5 years? As mayor now, as mayor, how will you help Spring Hill get to this point?
I think if you look at the population growth of Spring Hill, in 2000 we were at population 7,000. We steadily have been growing, and according to our latest census, we're at approximately 25,000. So I think it's probably, if you look at statistics, which I have to say I'm not a statistician, barely passed statistics in college, so I rely on the experts. But I think if you look at that growth trend, we can probably expect when the housing market picks back up for that to continue to grow steadily. And in 5 years, I would anticipate that we would be at least 35,000. I'm excited about the growth. I'm excited about the growth if we plan for the growth. And I think that good things are coming down the pipe for Spring Hill. But I think that we've got to really go out and actively work for Spring Hill. We can't wait for things to come to us. And so if I were elected mayor of Spring Hill, I would hit the ground running. On the 1st, I believe we would convene on April 16th. And I don't think that things have to wait. And I don't think, as Alderman Dinwiddie mentioned earlier, that we have to be on a learning curve. I think we know what's laying ahead of us. I think we know what our needs are. And I think it's a matter of us going out and getting them. And so I think we'll be a similar city in the future, but we can certainly expect to continue to grow.